Hey, what's up, agents? Hope you're all doing well. Hope everybody's hanging in there, being as safe as you guys need to be. So we have some serious changes coming to the game pretty soon. I feel like I've covered almost the entire gambit of skill builds. And so recently some of you may have seen that I put up the legendary armor build. I actually did a solo run of legendary District Union District Arena. Anyway, I did the thing. And so it got me thinking, you know what? Why don't we visit some armor builds while we're waiting for the new content and these major changes in the game to come out? And it got me thinking about a skill that I never really see anybody use, that I've tried using in my skill builds to not very good effect, and that's the Deflector shield. So I thought, you know, what can I do? What if I just pull out the Deflector shield and use it with that legendary armor build? It was actually incredibly powerful. In fact, one of the best variations of the build is to use that exact build with the 4-piece, Foundry Bulwark, the Catharsis, and the Picaro's holster. However, I did want to play around with it and see all the different combinations that may work and see how they fall. So, without further ado, I want to go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of what can make this Deflector shield not only viable in solo heroic, but actually viable in legendary runs. And so at the end of this, and probably throughout the gameplay, you'll probably see me running legendary Tidal Basin, and the build actually worked great for that. So do me a favor, if you guys learned something new or find this entertaining, smashing that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by the end of this, if I haven't already, I will have earned your guys' subscriptions. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And anything you guys want to see in the future, or anything that you think I could do differently or better, leave a comment down below. Alright guys, let's get into the basics of this build. Alright guys, so the first thing is we're going to talk about the specialization. Usually for these armor builds, I would use the gunner primarily for the ammo recovery, as well as the armor on kill, get a little bit faster fire rate. But the whole purpose of this was to see, if I don't even shoot anything, can I use the Deflector shield as a primary weapon? Because of that, I found that the best thing to run is the Technician. This gives us the Amped, which gives us the +1 skill tier. So whatever our secondary skill is, it's going to buff its efficiency that much more. It gives us the Emergency Patch, which heals ourselves and all proxies around us, to include our shields. So if the shield's about to go down, I can throw an armor kit and it will heal my shield. I don't actually ever use it because, well, as you guys will see, the shield is so freaking tanky that it never even crosses my mind. If you want, it can give you access to the Artificer Hive. This will, of course, buff up the shield and keep replenishing it. And if you drop it on the ground, this can be a buff to the entire team. If you decide to go that route also, you can get access to the Faraday Field, which will prevent shock and disrupt. You can use it with the Artificer Hive, you can use it with the turret. There's a myriad of other skills that you can use it with if you want to take advantage of that. And then the big one, since I tend to use the Striker Drone or the Assault Turret, I go for the Overclock CPU just to get it an extra 10% skill damage. The other thing is speaking of specialization, because when you're using the Deflector you can only use a pistol, I do recommend that you spec into the pistol damage. Alright, now moving on, let's talk about the weapons. Again, since this is a Deflector shield build, the primary weapons we're going to be focusing on are the sidearms, primarily the pistols. I will note that you can use the Liberty. The Liberty would be cool. Take up your exotic slot. It's basically a D50. It's the 50 cal. And every time that you get a hit, it will add +2% to your damage up to a maximum of 30 stacks. So you can get 60% bonus damage using the Liberty. Also, when you hit a headshot, it will heal the shield for 3% of its health per stack. So this is a way to keep the shield up and put out some pretty decent damage. However, I realize that I don't really need that shield healing given the majority of the builds we're using. If you're not going to be using, say, the Catharsis, if you're not going to be using Memento, if you're not going to be using the Artificer Hive, you may want to consider it, but for the majority of the builds, we're going to go with just a standard high-end pistol. And I have one in mind we'll get to in a second. Before that, I quickly want to talk about the primary and secondary weapons. I just choose to use, as my standard exotic, the Scorpio for the debuff potential and the amount of damage it puts out. Another alternative would be to use the Diamondback, since you can get those guaranteed crit hits. These are two exotic weapons you can use when you're not using your shield to actually put out some damage, even if you're not speccing into weapon DPS. So to bring it back, I want to talk about the pistols. While you can use any pistol of your choice, I recommend using the card TDI custom, or the TDI card custom. The reason why is it has that intrinsic +1 skill tier. So no matter what, whatever my secondary skill is, I'm going to get one additional skill tier for that. So it'll increase the efficiency of, say, the Artificer Hive. It'll increase the damage of your turret or your striker drone. It's just an easy way to buff that. We don't have to worry about the efficiency of the shield with any of these builds. We're already going to be above the tier 6 threshold. So you don't have to worry about the shield. Shield's going to be maxed out regardless. Now, the one thing to consider is what sort of talent would you want to run on your sidearm, whether you're running the card or something else. Some basic talents, you could use Breadbasket. Breadbasket, as you hit body shots, it will increase your headshot damage by 35%, up to 3 stacks. So it's a nice perk if you are shooting at the targets a lot. Close and personal. If you get a kill within 7 meters, you will get 30% damage for 10 seconds. It doesn't necessitate a kill, but it's an easy buff to get. And that 10-second cooldown is generally enough to get another kill if you're running solo. So next, we can consider Future Perfects. Future Perfect will give you +1 skill tier per kill. Stacks up to 3 times, lasts 15 seconds. If you are at skill tier 6, this will give you an overcharge. This can be a nice way to buff your secondary skill. I don't really think it's essential because our shield's already going to be maxed out, and we're really not counting on our secondary skill to do a lot of damage. So the main perk I recommend is, and I recommend running the TDI card custom with InSync. And the reason I like this is because when I'm using my drone or my turret, that will give me the stacks of weapon damage. When I shoot guys, that gives me the stacks of skill damage. And this is an easy way to maintain 30% weapon damage and skill damage most of the time. Downside is the Deflector shield does not get buffed. It does not buff the damage having InSync proc, but I tested everything. There's literally nothing except for overcharging the shield that will buff that damage up any further. So the damage done is based on the weapon you are being shot with. Alright, now let's move on to the gear. I want to start out talking about exotics. There are 4 exotic pieces that I feel can be slotted into this to effect. The first one I will mention is the Tardigrade. The Tardigrade seemed like an alright idea. It has the nanoplating, a blade of nanoplating. Anytime you or your team gets their armor broken, this will give your team a whole shit ton of bonus armor, since we're basically at 2 million plus armors. Definitely enough to get them into cover or help save their ass. It does have a 45-second cooldown. The thing is, I just feel like there are plenty of better options, and your teammates shouldn't really be counting on you to keep them alive with this build. Next, I want to talk about 2 backpacks. First of all, we have the Memento. The Memento can actually work to great effect when you're running solo. I don't recommend running it in a team because in order to get the kill confirmed trophies, you have to get the kill. The first question I'm sure everybody will wonder, well, does the enemy shooting your deflector shield and it killing them get you those trophies? Yes, it does. And so what this can do is it can stack up with these builds. Generally, you'll be running with 6 armor, 1 weapon core, and 1 skill tier because it comes on the Memento. So this should get you 5% weapon damage, 60% bonus armor, and 5% skill efficiency every time you pick up a trophy. And you also have the long-term stacks that you'll stack up. This will stack up to 30% bonus weapon damage, 3% armor regen per second, and 30% additional skill efficiency. So when you're running solo, the Memento is a great option. There's only one other option I think which is better, which I'll get to, but before that, let's talk about the Ninja Bike. Ninja Bike gives you the same benefits of giving you one weapon core, the armor core, and the skill tier, and it comes with the resourceful talent. What this means is you only need to run 3 pieces of the Foundry Bulwark, which we'll talk about in a moment, in order to get the 4-piece bonus. That allows you 2 high-end pieces, which will net you the 1-piece and the 2-piece bonus for both of those. So while that seems powerful, overall, the lack of healing that we get from my 2 favorite exotic pieces, it's really not great. If you don't have the Memento and you don't have the Catharsis, which we'll talk about in a second, the Ninja Bike can work to great effect. And we'll also, when I talk about the high-end gear pieces, we'll talk about the second-tier talents. That would be the 2-piece talent you would get from running the Ninja Bike. So what do I think the best exotic to run is? Hands down, the Catharsis. The reason why is as you take damage, it stacks up your weapon damage up to 30 stacks. That's 30% bonus damage. But when it breaks that threshold of 30%, you get an instant healing cloud purge that heals you and your teammates. It eliminates all status effects. And this healing cloud heals your shield as well as your own armor. So this is the easiest way to maintain your armor and your shield armor, especially in Legendary, where you're being shot at from a bunch of different angles. Those stacks ramp up quickly. I've had 3 and probably even 4 different puddles out at one time. There doesn't seem to be a limit. It's just how quickly you get up to those 30 stacks. If you're getting shot fast enough, you can have a whole bunch of these Catharsis healing pools around. So, and again, it's not only beneficial to you, it's beneficial to the team. So this works great in solo play and in team play, and it's my recommended exotic to use. Alright, now let's talk about the primary gear set. It's probably nobody's surprise. The Foundry Bulwark is the set we're going to be using. The 1 piece of the Foundry Bulwark is going to add 10% bonus armor to your overall armor pool. The 3-piece bonus is going to add 1% armor regen per second, and it's also going to add 50% additional shield health. So this is huge in making your Deflector shield last longer. And then that also couples with the 4-piece bonus, makeshift repairs, where 25% of our armor and our shield is regen over 10 seconds as we take damage. So the more damage you're taking, the faster you're going to actually heal. And in addition, you'll see oftentimes you're starting to lose armor really fast in Legendary. However, this is where the Catharsis steps in. The Catharsis will start to heal you and the shield while you're waiting for the Foundry Bulwark to start healing. That will start healing, and then when both of these kick in, it is incredible how fast we get our armor back. People have written comments about how funny it is that they just keep seeing the armor just keep coming back. I'm just sitting there taking it and it just keeps coming back. So the 4-piece Foundry Bulwark is essential in this build. Quickly, let's talk about the chest and backpack talents. I actually recommend running both for max efficacy in this build. The chest comes with the improved materials. This raises the amount of healing from 25 to 35% over those 10 seconds. This is a good buff. However, if you have to choose either the backpack or the chest, I think the backpack actually has the better talent. It has process refinery, and that increases, or I should say decreases, the amount of time it takes to heal that 25 or 35% from 10 seconds down to 5 seconds. So it basically doubles your healing by using the backpack. Again, I recommend running both, but in some of these, if you want to use, say, like the Point Man or the 0Fs named chest piece, or if you're running the tardigrade, that's permissible. You can still be effective because of using the backpack. So the one trade-off, like I said, you can use the Memento to swap this out, and as soon as you get stacks up, it'll basically replace that as well. All right, before talking about the actual name gear, I just want to quickly mention brand sets that you might use to slot in if you're using the Ninja Bite. So if you wanted to use Empress International, the 1-piece bonus would give you 10% skill health, so this will bump up the shield health as well as the health of whatever your secondary skill is. The 2-piece bonus would give you the 10% skill damage. So if you're using the striker drone, the turret, or some other damage skill, that would buff that up as well. Bellstone Armory I looked at. I don't actually think it's very effective. It gives you the 1% armor per second and 10% armor on kill. We really don't need it. There are better options. A very interesting one, though, is the Legmo brand set, because the 1-piece gives you 20% explosive resist, but the 2-piece gives you 25% skill health. And if you're just looking to maximize the shield health, which I don't recommend, healing of the shield is much more important than overall health. But if you just want to have the largest numbers possible, you can use the Legmo. And if you use the Legmo in addition to the Forge, you can get your shield health to damn near 12 million. Lastly, there's the D&H, I think it's Douglas and Harding. You can get 20% pistol damage and 30% stability with the 2-piece bonus. Again, really not worth it. We're speccing more into survivability and having the Deflector shield do the damage for us. That being said, I want to bring up the name gear. There's some really cool name gear pieces that you can slot in depending on what you have access to. First of all, if you don't have the Catharsis, or you are using the Ninja Bike, or you're using the Memento, you can go with the Chill Out Mask. This is Gila Guard, so it'll give you 5% armor, and if you get the 2-piece bonus, it will give you the 60% health. Those are cool, but the big reason you would use the Chill Out is the 2 mod slots. This can get you up to 26% protection from elites on 1 piece. So the Chill Out Mask can be pretty cool, and that armor bonus is nothing to scoff at. Now there's the Matador. If you don't have the backpack, the Memento, the Ninja Bike, or you don't have the Foundry Bulwark pack, you use Matador. The 1-piece bonus will give you 5% weapon damage. The Perfect Adrenaline Rush will give you 23% bonus damage for up to 3 enemies within 10 meters of you. This lasts for 5 seconds and refreshes at the end of the 5 seconds automatically. The bonus armor is cool. Not necessary, not what I would recommend, but I wanted to bring it up because it does work in the build. Now, moving on to the chest piece, there's 2 named chest pieces that I would consider. One is the Point Man. This will give you the perfect Vanguard, and what that will do is it will basically give 50% of our armor as bonus armor to the rest of your team for 20 seconds. It only has a 25-second cooldown, so this is a way of essentially giving 1 million plus bonus armor to your teammates the majority of the time. This can be great in a team build. I do not recommend it for solo play at all. Now, the other one that I would recommend for solo play, if you don't have anything better, would be the Zero S. This is Badger Tough, so it'll give you 10% bonus shotgun damage. If you're using your Scorpio, this can be a benefit. It gives you the perfect Unbreakable. So once every 55 seconds, if your armor breaks, it will automatically give you all of your armor back. So this will effectively give you an actual, not bonus armor, but actual armor pool of about 4 million. So that's a lot of armor. However, I do think it's better to run with the Foundry Bulwark chest piece if you have that option. Now, what I do recommend is using a named holster in the better variations of this build. The 2 named holsters that I would recommend is, one is either the Forge. This will give you 20% incoming repairs, so this will actually buff the healing you're getting, so this is a great choice. Its named bonus is that it gives you 50% additional shield health. So this is one of the best ways of buffing up the health that your shield has. Also, that incoming repairs, when buffed with added with the Catharsis, this will make it so that shield actually gets that much more regen also. So you notice this is making our shield very, very tanky. The other one that I would consider running is Picaro's holster. This will give you 10% skill haste. If you are using the Ninja Bike for any reason, it'll also give you +1 skill tier. This will give you that 15% weapon damage in the minor attributes slot, which will buff the pistol damage. Unfortunately, as I've noted before, it will not buff the damage that the Deflector shield is doing, but it slots in great. I was using that for the mainstay, but I think ultimately what it comes down to, the best build would be the Catharsis mask, 4 pieces of Foundry Bulwark to include the chest piece and the backpack, and running the Forge holster. That will give you the tankiest, grittiest build that you can get. and that's the one that I used to run for the Legendary Tidal Basin, and it pulled through with very little problems. The only time that I had any issues was when I got flanked and I didn't have any teammates to protect my back. You know, if you're getting shot in the back, obviously the shield's not working very good. So that's what I would recommend, but that covers the majority of the different pieces of gear.
Agent deceased.
All right, let's quickly touch on the attributes. Of course, with the exotic, on the Catharsis or any of your exotics, you're going to be locked in with whatever attributes come on that. Those can't be changed. As far as the 4 pieces of Foundry Bulwark and any of the named or high-end pieces you have, what we're going to be looking for is to have armor core in every position. Ideally, you'll be running with 6 armor core, which should give you roughly 2 million armor or so. As far as the minor attributes, on the 4 Foundry Bulwark, we are going to be going with skill damage. The reason for this is it'll buff our Striker Drone or Assault Turret or any other damage skill you would be using. But not only that, it actually kicks up the average damage of the Deflector shield from about 150k up to about 225k. So this is a substantial buff to the amount of damage the enemy will be doing to themselves via your Deflector shield. So I highly recommend slotting that in. For the normal armor builds, we use hazard protection, but because I recommend using the Catharsis, every time that vicious cycle kicks off and you have that purge, it's going to remove any status effects. So we really don't need to worry about hazard protection. Plus, we have so much armor that none of the status effects are really going to be able to cause enough damage that it's going to have any meaningful effect on us. The other advantage is, like I mentioned, this will kick up the damage of your Striker Drone or your Assault Turret. As far as the high-end pieces, you can go with whatever you want. If I'm using the Picaros, that's going to come with the weapon damage on it. If we're using the Forge, that's going to have the shield health on it. So we're still only going to have 1 minor attribute that we're going to be able to choose. If you're running something like the Point Man, the 0Fs, you know, you'll have a second attribute slot, minor attribute. Choose whatever you want. You know, maybe you'll go hazard protection, maybe explosive, resistance. Totally up to you. One quick note, as I'm adding in this section after the fact, we just had the update, and the Picaros holster, the weapon damage has gone from 15% down to 10% in that minor attribute slot. I went to see if we can recalibrate it up to that 15%, or if we can optimize it. That is not a choice. So I don't know if this is a bug. It does show that it's gone from the 15% on the little bar down to 10%. We're missing that extra third, that extra 5%. So it looks like we're going to be able to kick it up there. I don't know if this is a bug and they're going to fix it, whatnot, but that is something to note. Lastly, talking about the mod slots, I do recommend just running protection from elites in all of your mod slots. For endgame, that's really going to be the most bang for the buck. You know, you can run whatever you want, you know, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, repair skill if you're using the Artificer Hive. But I think ultimately the protection from elites, it's going to make those yellow bars do less damage to you and less damage to your shield, allow you to stack up the vicious cycle from the Catharsis that much quicker, and I think that's the call. But again, that's just my opinion. Now, before talking about different variations and why I would use them, let's talk about the skills. So you using the Deflector shield, depending on the build, the shield will have between 8.5 and 12 million health. You should be looking at an average damage of about 150k. This is using 3 Deflector shield damage mods. So pop on those 3 Deflector shield damage mods, you're good to go. For your secondary skill, it's really up to you. The ones I'd recommend is either the Artificer Hive if you want to get the extra shield regen, which isn't necessary. You could also drop the Artificer Hive on the ground if you want to buff the team's skills as well. The other 2 skills that I recommend and I like using is either the Striker Drone or the Assault Turret. Alright guys, so I know this has been a long video, so I just want to finalize by talking about the different combos and going over the different combos I tried, what I think of them. So first off, we got the Memento with the 4-piece Foundry and the Chill Out Mask. awesome for solo because you can ramp up those stacks to kill confirmed, and once you're up to 30 stacks, you are very, very, very tanky. I don't recommend it in a group build because anytime your teammates get the kill, you will not get a trophy, and it's just that much harder to get the stacks ramped up. Tardigrade, along with the Foundry 4-piece and the Chill Out Mask, meh. It's okay. If you don't have any better option, it'll work good, and it'll help your teammates out if they get themselves in a tight spot. Not really recommended. The Catharsis 4-piece and the Picar's holster is awesome for team and solo. Highly recommend it. There's only one other build that I think is better than that. Let's talk about so there's the Foundry Bulwark 4-piece with the Matador and the Catharsis. It works fine, but it's not optimal. Using the 4-piece Foundry with the Vanguard and the Catharsis, it's fine for groups. If you use the 4-piece with the 0F's Catharsis, it's fine for solo. This is just outshined by Picaros and the Forge holster. If you do not have access to exotics, if you're just running the Foundry, high-end or name pieces, you can go for the Foundry with the Legmo, the Forge, and the Ninja Bike. This can get you up to 12 million damage on your shield. That is the maximum shield health. Again, I don't recommend that because you don't have any really solid healing. You get the Foundry healing, but it's generally not enough, and your shield will go down with that. There's also the Foundry 4-piece with the Empress International, the Forge, and the Ninja Bike. This will net you about 10.5 million health to the shield, and it'll net you some bonus skill damage. The 4-piece Foundry with Chill Out Picaros is probably the best of the no exotic builds. It can get you almost 50% protection from elites, but the end-all be-all, in my opinion, is the Catharsis, the 4-piece Foundry Bulwark with the chest and the backpack, and the Forge holster. With proper positioning, this is a great build, and it's amazing how quickly you can get the enemies to take down their own team. Alright guys, so that's basically everything. I know this is a long video, so thank you so much if you made this through that. Do me a favor, if you learned something new or found this entertaining, smashing that like button, be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by now I've earned your guys' subscriptions. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video and leave any comments about anything down below. You guys take it easy, be as safe as you need to be, and I will catch you all in the Dark Zone. Peace out, everybody.
I'm reloading! I got you covered right here! What the fuck? Whoa! Don't let them find cover! Agent, your gun is down! Oh, away!
Thank you.